Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dandavat Pranam Devahuti Didi.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we are here reading Canto 3, the Status Quo, Chapter 6, Text 36. Tatapi kirtayami yanga yatamati yatashutam kirtim hares fams satkartum kiram anya bidha satim. In spite of my inability, whatever I have been able to hear from my spiritual master, and whatever I could assimilate, I am now describing in glorification of the Lord by pure speech. For otherwise my power of speaking would remain unchaste. Purport. The purification of the conditioned soul necessitates purification of his consciousness. By the presence of consciousness, the presence of the transcendental soul is verified, and as soon as consciousness leaves the body, the material body is not active. Consciousness is perceived, therefore, by activities. The theory put forward by empiric philosophers that consciousness can remain in an inactive state is the proof of their poor fund of knowledge. One should not become unchaste by stopping the activities of pure consciousness. If the activities of pure consciousness are stopped, certainly the conscious living force will be otherwise engaged, because unless engaged, the consciousness has no standing. Consciousness cannot be silent, even for a moment. When the body does not act, the consciousness acts in the form of dreams. Unconsciousness is artificial. By induced extraneous help, it remains for a limited period. But when the intoxication of the drug is finished, or when one is awake, the consciousness again acts earnestly. Maitreya's statement is that in order to avoid unchaste conscious activities, he was trying to describe the unlimited glories of the Lord, although he did not have the ability to describe them perfectly. This glorification of the Lord is not a product of research, but the result of hearing submissively from the authority of the spiritual master. It is also not possible to repeat all that one has heard from his spiritual master, but one can narrate as far as possible by one's honest endeavor. It does not matter whether the Lord's glories are fully explained or not. One must attempt to engage one's bodily, mental, and verbal activities in the transcendental glorification of the Lord. Otherwise, such activities will remain unchaste and impure. The existence of the conditioned soul can be purified only by the method of engaging mind and speech in the service of the Lord. The Tridandi Sannyasi of the Vaishnava school accepts 3 rags, representing the vow to engage in the service of the Lord with body, mind, and speech, whereas the Ekadandi Sannyasi takes the vow to become one with the Supreme. Since the Lord is the Absolute, there's no distinction between him and his glories. The glories of the Lord, as chanted by the Vaishnava Sannyasi, are as substantial as the Lord himself, and thus, while glorifying the Lord, the devotee becomes one with him in transcendental interest, although he remains eternally a transcendental servitor. This simultaneously one and different position of the devotee makes him eternally purified, and thus his life becomes a complete success. Text 37. Ekantalabam vachaso nupumsam sushloka maler gunavadam ahu Shrutescha vidhavadvir upakrityam katasurayam upasamprayogam. The highest perfectional gain of humanity is to engage in discussions of the activities and glories of the pious actor. Such activities are so nicely arranged in writing by the greatly learned sages that the actual purpose of the ear is served just by being near them. Purport. The impersonalists are very much afraid of hearing the activities of the Lord because they think that the happiness derived from the transcendental situation of Brahman is the ultimate goal of life. They think that anyone's activity, even that of the personality of Godhead, is mundane. But the idea of happiness is indicated in this verse is different because it relates to the activities of the Supreme Personality, who has transcendental qualities. The word gunavadam is significant because the qualities of the Lord and his activities and pastimes are the subject matter for the discussions of devotees. A rishi like Maitreya is certainly not interested in discussing anything pertaining to mundane qualities, yet he says that the highest perfectional stage of transcendental realization is to discuss the Lord's activities. Srila Jiva Goswami therefore concludes that topics regarding the transcendental activities of the Lord are far beyond the transcendental realization of Kaivalya happiness. These transcendental activities of the Lord are so arranged in writing by the great sages that simply by hearing of those narrations, one becomes perfectly self-realized, and the proper use of the ear and the tongue is also achieved. Srimad Bhagavatam is one of the such great literatures, and the highest perfectional state of life is attained simply by hearing and reciting its contents. Text 38. Atmano vashito vatsa mahima kavinadina samvatsara sahasrante diha yoga vipakaya. O my son, the original poet Brahma, after mature meditation for 1,000 celestial years, could know only that the glories of the Supreme Soul are inconceivable. Purport. There are some froggish philosophers who want to know the Supreme Soul by means of philosophy and mental speculation. And when the devotees, who are to some extent in knowledge of the Supreme Lord, admit that the glories of the Lord are inestimable or inconceivable, the froggish philosophers adversely criticize them. These philosophers, like the frog in the well, who tried to estimate the measurement of the Pacific Ocean, like to take trouble over fruitless mental speculation, instead of taking instructions from devotees like the original poet, namely Brahma. Lord Brahma underwent a severe type of meditation for 1,000 celestial years, yet he said that the glories of the Lord are inconceivable. Therefore, what can the froggish philosophers hope to gain from their mental speculations? It is said in the Brahma Samhita that mental speculator may fly through the sky of speculation with the velocity of the mind or the wind for thousands of millions of years, and still he will find it inconceivable. The devotees, however, do not waste time in such vain searching after knowledge of the Supreme, but they submissively hear the glories of the Lord from bona fide devotees. Thus they transcendentally enjoy the process of hearing and chanting. The Lord approves of the devotional activities of the devotees, or Mahatmas, and he says, Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashrita bhajananti ananya manaso yatva avyayam satata kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrata namashyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upashyate. Bhagavad Gita 9.13 through 14. The pure devotees of the Lord take shelter of the para prakriti, the internal potency of the Lord, called Lakshmi Devi, Sita Devi, Srimati Radharani, or Srimati Rukmini Devi. And thus they become actual Mahatmas, or great souls. Mahatmas are not fond of indulging in mental speculations, but they actually take to the devotional service of the Lord without the slightest deviation. Devotional service is manifested by the primary process of hearing and chanting about the activities of the Lord. This transcendental method is practiced by the Mahatmas, gives them sufficient knowledge of the Lord, because if the Lord can at all be known to some extent, it is only through the means of devotional service and no other way. One may go on speculating and waste the valuable time of his human life, but that will not help anyone to enter into the precincts of the Lord. Mahatmas, however, are not concerned with knowing the Lord by mental speculation, because they enjoy hearing about his glorious activities in his transcendental dealings with his devotees or with the demons. The devotees take pleasure in both and are happy in this life and the life after. Text 39. Ato bhagavato maya mayinam api mohini yatsvayam chatma vartmatma naveda kim utapare. The wonderful potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is bewildering even to the jugglers. That potency is unknown even to the self-sufficient Lord, so it is certainly unknown to others. The froggish philosophers and mundane wranglers in science and mathematical calculation may not believe in the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they are sometimes puzzled by the wonderful jugglery of man and nature. Such jugglers and magicians of the mundane world are actually puzzled by the jugglery of the Lord and his transcendental activities, but they try to adjust their bewilderment by saying that it is all mythology. There is, however, nothing impossible or mythological in the supreme omnipotent person. The most wonderful puzzle for the mundane wranglers is that they remain calculating the length and breadth of the unlimited potency of the Supreme Person. His faithful devotees are set free from the bondage of material engagement simply by appreciating the wonderful jugglery of the Supreme in the practical field. The devotees of the Lord see the wonderful dexterity in everything with which they come in contact in all circumstances of eating, sleeping, working, etc. A small banyan fruit contains thousands of small seeds, and each seed holds the potency of another tree, which again holds the potency of many millions of such fruits as causes and effects. So the trees and seeds engage the devotees in meditation about the activities of the Lord, while the mundane wranglers waste time in dry speculation and mental concoction, which are fruitless in both this life and the next. In spite of their pride and speculation, they can never appreciate the simple activities of the banyan tree's potency. Such speculators are poor souls destined to remain in matter perpetually. Text 40. Yato prapyanya vartanta vachascha manasa saha aham chanya ime devas tasmai bhagavate namah. Words, mind, and ego, with their respective controlling demigods, have failed to achieve success in knowing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, we simply have to offer our respectful obeisances unto him as a matter of sanity. Purport. The froggish calculator may raise the objection that if the absolute is unknowable, even by the controlling deities of speech, mind, and ego, namely the Vedas, Brahma, Rudra, and all the demigods headed by Brihaspati, then why should the devotees be so interested in this unknown object? The answer is that the transcendental ecstasy enjoyed by the devotees in delineating the pastimes of the Lord is certainly unknown to non-devotees and mental speculators. Unless one relishes transcendental joy, naturally one will come back from his speculations and concocted conclusions, because he will see them as neither factual nor enjoyable. The devotees can at least know that the absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, as the Vedic hymns confirm. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pasanti Suraya. Bhagavad Gita 15.15. Bhagavad Gita 15.15 also confirms this fact. Vedaischa sarvai aham eva vedya. By culture of Vedic knowledge, one must know Lord Krishna and should not falsely speculate on the word aham, or I. The only method for understanding the supreme truth is devotional service, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 18.55. Bhaktimam abhijanati yabhanyas chasmitatvata. Only by devotional service can one know that the ultimate truth is the personality of Godhead, and that Brahman and Paramatma are only his partial features. This is confirmed in this verse by the great sage Maitreya. With devotion, he offers his sincere surrender, Namaha, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavate. One has to follow in the footsteps of the great sages and devotees like Maitreya and Vidura, Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadev Goswami, and engage in the transcendental devotional service of the Lord, if one would know his ultimate feature, which is above Brahman and Paramatma. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd Canto, 6th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Creation of the Universal Form. And thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from chapter 7 on Wednesday. Further inquiries by Vidura. Do the devotees have any comments or questions? Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Shanta Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Glories to all devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees, Sama Bhakti Veda Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Nrishangapali Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Ju Ki Jai, Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Sham Kund Radhakund Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Ki Jai,
Jai.
Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Jai Scientific Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai.
Jai.
Princeton Bhakti Vedanta Institute Ki Jai. Jai
Jai.
Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Institute Ki Jai. Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mutt Ki Jai.
Jai.
Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari 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 Bol. Jai
Hari
Shrimati
Bol.
Uma Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Jai Shrimati Devahuti Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
श्रीपाद कृष्ण के किंकर प्रभु की जय।
Jai. Hare Krishna. Dhanwad.
Manava pranams, Devi.
Dhanwad.
Hari Bol.
धन्यवाद।